course, this podcast was always going to begin with a looming deadline. I said I wanted to start it by my 40th birthday, and here I am recording with 6 days to go. It's fair to say I've got a lot of life stuff on my mind. As I move toward the milestone, returning to creativity feels essential. Not as a performance, not as a pivot, but as a quiet return, a gift to myself. I've often thought of creativity as a fulfilling fiend, a partner with whom I sometimes dance fluidly, but more often wrestle with in haphazard movements. Doubt or some new shiny distraction often cuts in to take the floor. But for where I find myself now, I have the sneaking suspicion creativity will be the exact supportive friend I need. The word creativity means the use of imagination or original ideas to create something. Inventiveness. And my imagination, it's full, teeming even. But the execution, that's the part that needs feeding. This podcast is how I'm choosing to do that. It's for myself, first of all, but if it finds you, then maybe it's for you too. In 2023, I moved to the north of England with 22 journals dating back to 2004. In June of 24, the year for this podcast hummed into my mind, and I even recorded a pilot and 2 episodes. And then, nothing. Later that year, the thought revisited me. Then again in February 2025, when I did all of the tinkering, the logo design, research, copy changes, all the behind-the-scenes work that is technically doing a thing, but not really doing the thing. And so it hovered. As someone who is beholden to outer accountability, but an absolute rebel when it comes to things just for myself, it sat there untouched. But as I approach my 40th birthday, I know it's now, or I risk quietly brushing away yet another idea under the carpet, convincing myself it doesn't matter and it wouldn't have worked anyway. So, welcome to the Daybook, a journaling podcast. Why a podcast? Well, creatively it had to be audio. It simply had to be. I grew up falling asleep to stories read aloud on cassette tapes from the library. These days I send voice notes that are basically podcasts in disguise. My friend Nina and I even call them audio vlogs. People have told me my voice is soothing, and honestly, sometimes I just want to show up without wiping the sleep from my eyes or taking off my headscarf. And I want that for you too. I don't want either of us to feel like we have to be a thing before we do the thing. So this space, the Daybook, isn't about appearances or polish, it's about pause. There are no screens, no visuals, no notifications, just a chance to step away from your devices and into your own thoughts. Anyone who knows me in real life knows that voice notes are my favourite way to communicate. My friends and I regularly exchange podcast-length recordings to stay connected. Audio feels like the most natural, comfortable and sustainable format for these weekly digests. I often say to my friends, aesthetics are going to kill us. These days, you can't just do the thing, you have to look good doing it, with all the accessories and regalia to match. That's just not me. If I spend too much time thinking about how it looks instead of just doing it, that becomes an obstacle, and then I don't do it at all. I tried making guided journaling videos for YouTube, but the thought of ads interrupting the flow didn't sit well with me. Plus I hate filming myself, the setup, the angles, the prep, it all became another barrier. Now I think I've landed on a medium that finally makes sense. It feels sustainable and I'm genuinely excited about it. What I'm hoping to create here is a big audio mashup, part blog, part audio vlog, like those voice notes I send friends, with pieces from my own pages as I write them. It will be part resource, part reflection and part podcast, delivered in that same informal voice note style. Each episode will offer a prompt, thought or inspiration for your own pages. Some might include a little catch-up on what's been in my journal lately or reflections on the thoughts that have emerged from a prompt. Then you'll have an opportunity to pick up your pen right there in the moment, if it suits you. Because I don't know about you, but my things to return to later list only ever gets longer. In that way then, the episodes might serve as a kind of accountability partner, helping you build a habit. And knowing myself, I've made sure this isn't a one and done project. I've already recorded 3 more episodes before putting this first one out. I hope it feels close enough to offer community and intimacy while still leaving you with autonomy. You decide when to show up, when to make time, whether a prompt suits you or whether you'll skip one. I've spent so many years in conversation with myself through my journals, and now I want to share that. I have far more thoughts, curiosities, questions and reframes than I will ever get through on my own. And maybe they aren't all just meant for me. I like to imagine you listening to this podcast on a walk, in a coffee shop, on your commute, maybe following it up with an audio note of your own, or simply putting pen to paper with no screen as necessity or distraction. My mantra in guided journaling sessions has always been, I guide, you lead. Think of it as me telling you what to do without telling you what to do. Because the prompt isn't always the prompt. Sometimes the mic drop line a writer intends isn't what captures you. Depending on your energy, your environment, or what's happening in your life, it could just as easily be the title that catches you or a throwaway phrase. Again, I guide, you lead. If something else is on your mind, ignore the prompt and follow that instead. So let's begin with the question that nudged me to finally record this. What if it gets to be easy? I came across a YouTube video referencing Tim Ferriss, and it gave me good pause. What if it gets to be easy? Before getting here, I'd already started courses, mood boards, Google Docs, phone notes and voice notes that were essentially podcast episodes. I'd researched domain names, email automations, thought about reformatting content for TikTok and YouTube, considered music licensing, all before I'd made a single thing. Yet some preparation is necessary. But sometimes it's just about jumping to step 5 before finishing step 1. I've had to get very clear on what is essential to execution, what is a distraction, and how I often let myself be entertained by the latter. That's why I like what if questions. They open their arms wide for an array of answers, inviting curiosity. What if it doesn't have to be everything? What if it could just be something, an offering, a start, an iteration? It may not be perfect, but it isn't procrastination. It's an idea executed, and here it is, you are listening to it now. I already have everything I need, of course, because I'm me. One thing past me excelled at and current me is still working on was buying my way into an identity. All the gear, no idea. But actually, I do have an idea. I have the experience of being a podcast host and guest before. There's nothing left to do but act. And now for you too, there's nothing left to do but act. It's time for you and your thoughts. Type, record, or write whatever suits you, whatever is here. If you're contemplating a start of a thing or a new chapter, how about one of these? What if it gets to be easy? To make something achievable, how can I make it sustainable? When there's nothing left to do but act, what is the very first step? What if it doesn't have to be everything? What if it could just be something? An offering, a start, an iteration. You might use one of these prompts or something else that surfaced while you were listening, or even something that's already at the front of your mind. Here's your moment. Grab whatever you'd like to record your thoughts in, with, or on. And I'll see you next week.